Welcome back, gang. It's Deltia from Deltiasgaming.com here with another Hogwarts Legacy build centered on ancient magic. This build is designed for a massive amount of damage and really quick recharge to your ancient magic skill. We're going to focus on massive generation of ancient magic, getting it filled up and bursting down the most dangerous enemies Hogwarts has to offer. We're also going to have a really cool, unique, and interesting trick with ancient magic that's going to allow you to toss objects and even enemies at each other. More on this later. I'm going to put the full build link description below if you want all the talents level 5 to all the way to level 40, but let's get started. And also, if you get something out of this video, make sure to like, subscribe, and leave me a comment. So what do you need to know about this build? Well, Hogwarts Legacy builds follow a general formula. Spells, consumables, which contain plants and potions, armor and armor traits, and talents. We're going to go over each, and along with the spell combinations and how you can make this build work. So what is ancient magic and how does it work? Ancient magic is an essential spell that you're going to get very early in the game. In the bottom right of your screen, it's going to have a little meter. You actually can get more bars on this through a mini game, Ancient Magic Hotspots, but at the very beginning, you're still going to be able to fill this up. Once it's filled, it acts as an ultimate or a supercharged ability that you can use once in a while. You build it up by doing combinations of basic attacks and spells without getting hit. The more evasive, the more protegos you use to defend yourself and not get hit, the faster this recharges, along with some other talents that's going to make it optimal and traits. So we're going to try to fill this thing up and save it for a really big burst opportunity. You want to use it against trolls, spiders, bosses, something not the typical just single target mob that you can deal with spells. Now, speaking of talents, let's go over that and then we'll go over the spell combination. The most important talent early on is Ancient Magic Throw Expertise at level 5 or beyond. Talents are earned at level 5 all the way up to level 40, and you have to complete a quest called Jackdaw's Rest. After that, you will be able to spend your talent points, again 5 all the way to 40, and you cannot respec them. So you have to commit to a build and be aware of what you're spending. I have a link in the description below, 5 to 40, all talents I suggest taking at each individual level. So Ancient Magic Throw Expertise catches and throws disarmed enemy weapons. You pair this with a spell called Expelliarmus, which disarms weapons. It chucks it in the air and allows you to use a free damage ability and hits very, very hard. And this is part of the Ancient Magic build. Another really important talent early on is Protego Absorption. Using Protego, which is your defense mechanism, will contribute to Ancient Magic meter. It does not have to be a perfected Protego either, making it very easy just to hold down the button, do a reflect, and get Ancient Magic back. Next up, another important talent that's pretty early on is Leviosa Mastery. What this does is allows you to levitate multiple mobs. This is really good and ideal for controlling enemies and using attacks while airborne. Why is while airborne very, very effective? Well, there's another talent that you can get at level 16, Basic Cast Airborne Absorption. So basic cast impacts on airborne enemies contribute to Ancient Magic meter. So you're going to be using Leviosa and a lot of basic attacks while mobs are in the air because it helps fill up your Ancient Magic meter and allows you to be offensive with basic attacks rather than requiring you to do spells all the time. Another talent you're going to want to get at level 16 is Evasion Absorption. Successfully evading an attack dodge contributes to Ancient Magic meter. So you're going to have two forms of damage coming at you that you can avoid. One was a red halo, you want to dodge that. One is an orange halo, you're going to want to use Protego and time it just at the right time. This will both fill your Ancient Magic meter, allowing you to do a lot more Ancient Magic attacks. Also at level 16, you're going to get Bombardia Mastery. This causes explosive damage with AoE, one of the hardest hitting effects in the game. What's really nice with Bombardia and having this mastery is you can do Leviosa to lift up a bunch of targets and then hit them with Bombardia and knock them back, and potentially knocking them off ledges and having really cool and interesting plays. So lift them up with Leviosa, do a couple basic attacks, fill up that Ancient Magic meter, boom, knock them off. And then last but certainly not least, you have Transformation Mastery talent. Enemy struck with Transformation spell, which is also at level 22, later in the game, transform into explosive objects. This is crazy because what you can do is turn an enemy into an explosive object, lift them up with Leviosa, and then chuck them at somebody else. It is an absolute filthy, disgusting combination and is really fun to play with manipulating the battlefield. So those are the important talents. We've already talked about some of the spells, but let's kind of follow up with the spell combination. Expelliarmus is going to be core to this because you're going to be disarming enemies and throwing it back at them with a level 5 talent. Leviosa, we talked about that earlier. Really, really good. Very early game. You're going to be lifting them up. The talent is also going to contribute to Ancient Magic meter, and then you can use Bombardia to knock them back. You can also get a really nice flex combination with Glacius and Defendo. This is a strong, very strong single target damage ability, and even if you optimize, it can hit over 7,000 damage on a single target and can two-shot trolls. So if you're looking for some more damage and you not want to rely on Ancient Magic specifically, Glacius and Defendo is very, very good. And then lastly, Transformation Mastery in the Transformation skill takes a very long time to get, but it can create a fun and interesting build, flinging explosive objects back at each other, especially if they're an enemy. Now that we've covered that stuff, let's talk about the armor traits to optimize this build. So an important thing to know about armor traits is you get access to them pretty early in the game, and you're going to have to create them on the loom in your room of requirements and add them to specific armor slots, and they don't cost a whole lot of material. The material comes from taming and farming a beast material in your room of requirement. What you need to know is this: you can change out the armor traits pretty easily. You have 6 slots in total, and they're multiplicative, meaning if you stack one specific one on all 6, you're going to get maximum results. Or you can do something like a 3-3 split, and that's what I recommend for this build. So where to get these? You get some through exploration and questing, but the majority of them come from bandit camps. You're going to find them on the map, you clear them, and there'll be a chest at the end that will give you a little check mark on the bandit camp. What you want to do is save right before you flip the treasure map open and hit load to try to get the optimal one. Or just do it organically and go out throughout the map clearing them out. Either way, here's the ones you're going to want to use and why. I would highly recommend Ancient Magic Focus. It increases your Ancient Magic fill meter. You should have enough damage with your Ancient Magic alone to one-shot nearly everything in the game, thus it makes more sense to stack a lot of recovery and use Ancient Magic more frequently. Just Ancient Magic alone significantly increases your damage from Ancient Magic. So this is a great split if you want to do 3 Ancient Magic Focus and 3 Ancient Magic to ensure you can one-shot pretty much everything in the game and also have some good regeneration. If it feels like overkill, go with another trait or 6 into focus. Number 3 is Control. Significantly increases damage with Ancient Magic Throw. This is a great option if you're relying on Expelliarmus predominantly and chucking it back with that Ancient Magic Throw. And then also you can go with Concentration. That just increases damage of all spells. Another good option if you're just using spells more than Ancient Magic. Now, the last little bit of this build is talking about tools, which are plants and potions. They are extraordinarily strong in this game, and you're going to want to focus on them a lot. The number one thing I would focus on is the Maxima Potion. This increases your spell damage for a limited amount of time. It absolutely does a massive amount of damage, so you're going to want to pop this before you jump into combat. It lasts for a pretty long time, so start this at the beginning of combat to get off your big combos and save your Ancient Magic for bosses versus the normal little enemy mob. Next up is the Focus Potion. This reduces cooldowns on all your spells. So if you're using super long cooldowns, if you're using the Dark Arts skill, or Transformation, or some later game skills, this will be very helpful to chug down. And lastly is the Invisibility Potion. It makes you invisible for a short time. This is fantastic because it allows you to escape and blow multiple mobs up from stealth. So if you're having trouble with survivability, focus on getting these, pop them, exit the area, kind of regroup, and then go in for another kill shot. So those are the 3 that you're going to want to focus on to really ramp up your damage and survivability. Okay, so now you kind of know what to do and why. So this is how the combat and rotation typically works for this build. Number 1, what you're going to do is pop a potion at the start of combat if it's a tough fight. So a maximum potion, and you can also use a focus potion if you want really fast cooldowns. Next, you're going to disarm an enemy with Expelliarmus, and then you're going to throw that weapon right back at the mob and hit them. Now you're going to lift up multiple mobs with Leviosa and do 2 to 3 basic attacks if your Ancient Magic isn't full. Next, you're going to use Bombardier or another range attack to knock them back for huge damage. And then you're going to use your Ancient Magic on cooldown when it's available for higher HP targets like trolls or bosses. And you can use them multiple times back to back to back. So if you have 3 or 4 bars of Ancient Magic and you saved it for a really tough quest or boss fight, pop that Maxima Potion and throttle down and just use it until the enemies are deleted. Also, don't be afraid to use the Glacius, which is the debuff and Defendo at range if you need a little bit more damage. Also, don't be afraid to use the Defendo Glacius combo. Glacius to debuff, Defendo to do a huge chunk of damage, because it still works really good even if you don't have the traits on your body. Well, gang, that's a build. Link in the description below if you want the entire list of all the traits, 5 to 40, what I recommend, and a little bit more detailed instruction, all the spells and the combinations, but I wanted to get this out. Ancient Magic is one of the most fun things to use. And also make sure to go around and check those Ancient Magic hotspots so you can optimize this build a little bit further. And you can take this and start playing around with it at level 5 and beyond, and it works really, really good on the highest difficulties in that end game. If you got something out of this, smash that like. Come watch me on twitch.tv/Deltia. Deltiasgaming, where my mom claims I'm the best streamer alive. Thanks for watching.